Dreaming of a vacation in Paris with art, intrigue, and a little romance? Then pick up Lost and Found in Paris by me, Lian Dolan, an art history treasure hunt in the City of Light. Available from William Morrow, wherever books are sold.
You're listening to Satellite Sisters.
What's a satellite sister?
The person you call when the best thing in your life happens or the worst.
The person that gets you up, gets you going, and gets you through.
And every once in a while, changes your mind.
This podcast is part pep talk, part weekly check-in.
Like grabbing coffee with a friend.
Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Satellite Sisterhood.
You're listening to Satellite Sisters. We're so glad you're here today. I'm Lian Dolan in Pasadena, California. I'm a writer and a producer. I'm the youngest sister, and I'm looking forward to this show. Liz, you brought a special guest along, didn't you?
I do, yeah. We're going to be talking to author Connie Wang a little bit later. And and we all have some opinions about some books. So I love this episode every year, Lian. Thank you for organizing it.
Yes, it's our Best Beach Bag Books episode. Julie, you ready to talk books?
I am, Lian. I have two great picks that I'm going to talk about today, but you're putting together a much larger list that we'll share with all the Satellite Sisterhood. So that's great.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of we're having an interview with Connie Wang. We're looking forward to that. She has a great memoir out about her and her relationship with her mom. It's kind of a special Mother's Day interview with her. And then we're going to discuss our own books that we picked. The list is about 24 books total. There will be links in the show notes, links on the blog, links on all our social media. We try with our book list to be a little bit different than everybody else's. It's not just books you can read on the beach that are pink. It's a whole bunch of different books, from memoir to nonfiction to fiction, some audiobook recommendations. And we're going to preview a couple of those later on in the show. And then we'll have Connie Wang. But first up, okay, Liz,
I would like to file a protest. I would like to file a protest. And I'm not sure you are the right people to be protesting to, but I'm just putting this out into the world. As you know, I am an expert on all things Theranos and all things Elizabeth Holmes. And yes, I've read the books. I've watched the TV shows. I've listened to the podcasts, and I have a protest. There was a giant story about Elizabeth Holmes on the cover of the Sunday business section in the New York Times the other day. And here's the thing. The headline is, Liz Holmes wants you to forget about Elizabeth. And basically, sisters, the entire story is an attempt to rebrand herself, convicted fraudster, to change her brand from convicted fraudster to Liz, the devoted mother. And I just want to say, I personally am not buying it.
So it's a pretty strong stand, Liz. I mean, usually you're pretty flexible about things. Not so flexible. Is it because you and Elizabeth share the same name?
Yes. Yeah. I just feel like we know what your name is. It's Elizabeth Holmes, right? So you can try to change our minds about a lot of things, but it just seems really brazen to just change your name. And by the way, I mean, you should read the story, but she also has changed her voice and changed her wardrobe. So I'm telling you, this is a full-on rebrand, and I am not buying it. That is all.
But it starts with Liz. So it's a good thing she didn't pick Lizzie H. I mean, then she really would have been coming for your territory.
Exactly. That is my turf. Stay off it.
Okay. All right. Back away. Well, sisters, I had a big week. It happened. Okay. I'm just going to say I was out of town and I was walking down the street and I heard it first. It was a very loud kerplat. And then I felt it, and it was cold and it wet. I'm sure it was a condor that flew over my head.
God.
Okay. But this was a full-on major situation on the crown of my head. Okay, I'm on the street. Okay, yes, Liz, bird poop on my head. Okay, I said,
Jewel.
I am only saying that once, okay?
Okay. Thank goodness. The indignity of it. And it's you, Julie.
No, it's me. Okay. And I have nothing. I have no tissue. I can't touch it. All right.
Oh, gosh.
All I can do is I have got to get back to my hotel. But you see, I can't run, sisters, because this thing is major.
Okay.
And it's I'm doing like a race walk down the street with my head very still, like I have a book on top of my head, because I feel like if I alter my head in any way, it's just going to make the whole situation worse.
Coming down over your face. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Liz. Yes. So get to the hotel. I come in, I get by the front desk. I am doing a sidestep by the front desk because, again, I cannot turn very much because of the situation. And I get to the elevators. I'm just want to get back to my room. I want to get in the shower. I want to take care of the major situation. But of course, this is an old hotel with old elevators, like phone booth. It's a phone booth, okay? A slow phone booth. And there is a man at the same elevator, okay? And I'm like, okay, this is going to be bad, but maybe he's going to let me in first so I can go to the back of the elevator and turn around, and then he won't notice this giant situation on my head. But of course, he gets in the elevator first, and he's taller than me, okay? So now I cannot get to this elevator.
Oh gosh.
Because of the thing. But I can't stay there in the lobby because that could be worse, right?
Yeah. You know.
So I move sideways to the elevator, and I don't know what this man is thinking. Okay. He's thinking like, just got in the elevator with the weirdest woman. Okay. And you know how when you're in the elevator
lady. Yeah.
But I'm thinking he doesn't know how lucky he is that I am not coming into the elevator and standing in front of him. I am saving him from some total gross out situation. But you know,
but not us. You're not saving us.
Down your feet. You try not to.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. I am like Lian. I am back against the wall. My head is up straight. Of course. He's on the 6th floor. I'm on the 5th floor. Okay. Let me have gotten off the elevator first. So then when it gets to my floor, again, sidestep out of the elevator. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So I made it to the shower. That's the story.
All right. Well, I suggest for all future outings a hat.
Yeah.
Just. I don't know. I don't know if I can recover from that story, Julie. That should have come with a trigger warning. I'm
sorry. It was major.
Yes, we understand. Well, we're glad you're with us today. We're glad you're recovered.
Survived
today.
Attack. Condor attack.
Not what I thought that story was going to be. All right. Well,
no. See, I couldn't tell you ahead of time.
No.
Okay.
Woo. All right. Well, I spent the weekend. We're about to move into the Best Beach Bag Books portion of the show. So let's do something bookish here. If people are still listening to the show, we might have lost most of the listeners with that story. But if people have hung on, I spent the weekend at a Lit Fest in Medina, or Pasadena Lit Fest. I'm not going to call it by the new name. It's a stupid name. Pasadena Lit Fest, moderating 2 panels. I did a panel on romantic comedy and a really interesting panel on food. And you know what? They were so completely different and really fun. Now, when I moderate the panels, I take moderation very seriously.
Do. Yeah.
I do all the prep work. I think about the conversation flow. I personalize the questions. I send them out ahead of time. I give people a little bit of information, but not too much. I don't want to trick people, but I don't want to give away everything. So, it was a heavy weekend, but such fun panels. The romantic comedy panel, we just had a lot of fun with the concept of romantic comedies and, movies we love and books we love and the tropes we love and the comedies we're all different, and it was just a lot of fun. It was steamy. There were some steamy conversations. We went there, some steamy ones. It all fell apart during the Q&A when one young woman, she just wanted to talk about why she couldn't find a guy like the guy in 50 Shades of Grey. And wasn't that our fault that her expectations were so out of whack? And I have to, I did not relate to that question at all. So I let the young women on the panel handle that when I was like, I don't understand you. But anyway, that was kind of funny. So, and then the next day I did a food panel with Kim Fay, who was on our show, the author of Love and Saffron. Also spoke to Fanny Singer, who is Alice Waters' daughter. And yeah. So her mom of Chez Panisse fame and sort of the mother of the farm to table movement. It was actually her mother, and she has a beautiful memoir out. It's actually on our Best Beach Bag Books list because it's great. It's like a memoir / recipe / love letter to her mom called Always Home. She's a wonderful writer in her own right, and a foodie but not a professional chef. So it was great. And then the other woman is somebody who she has an interesting background. Mate Gomez is her name, and she was an art curator who then became a chef who lectures on art and cooking and food and paintings, and then does cooking lessons around the paintings. And then she also hosts a podcast with Eva Longoria about the history of food. So it just, they all brought such interesting perspectives on writing about food and eating food, the connective power of food. It was a really fun panel. So all in all, it was a very bookish weekend for me, but I was exhausted on Sunday evening. I was like, whoa, I have done a lot of talking. The only strange thing was that they held the book fest at a mausoleum. Yeah. Well, I don't know why, Joel. I have to say, 3 straight days around dead people, I just wasn't that into it. I have to be honest.
It also sounds very cold and echoey.
It was both those things, Liz. Yes, I was lucky to be in a room that wasn't echoey, but a lot of rooms were echoey. So it's like a 1920s mausoleum that you would probably recognize from literally every Hollywood movie. They shoot there about 150 days a year. Literally, they were shooting while we were there. 6 Feet Under was there. They actually have a grave that is created just for filming. It's metal paneled graves so that the actors can get in and out of the grave, somewhere on the actual cemetery. It's very LA. But the whole thing, I was like, at least we're in a room where no one's dead. Okay, that feels good. So, but anyway, really fun. A bunch of the books that I read, I really enjoyed, and those made our Best Beach Bag Books list. So we're going to talk about those later.
That's great. Okay, well, next up, we are talking to writer and journalist and editor Connie Wang. Her new memoir, Oh, My Mother, A Memoir in 9 Adventures, is about her travels and her, up and down relationship with her mother, loving yet dramatic relationship with her mother, Ching Li. So, which is why it's our Mother's Day pick today and also on our Best Beach Bag Book list. And Connie was born in China, raised in Minnesota, and lives in Los Angeles. And I actually had a chance to meet her at the Book Soup bookstore in West Hollywood last month. So it is very fun to have her here on the show.
In today's go-go world, taking care of your mental health is more important than ever. And if you're looking to reduce stress, increase mindfulness, and improve your overall well-being, you need Calm. Calm helps you stress less, sleep more, and live a happier, healthier life. Calm is the app that we love here at Satellite Sisters. Liz, you and I both use this app. We use it regularly for meditations, for sleep stories, just for music to help us drift back off to sleep. There's a whole movement program that we're doing. Sometimes I just lie in bed and I do that movement program, Liz.
Me too, Lian. Yeah. No, I like the fact that it's little installments of things that you can use throughout your day. So you could get like the move of the day. I listened to the Daily Calm today. Okay, it's an original inspiring meditation. Today the theme is distortions. Haven't listened to that yet. I want to dig into that. Anyway, it's just a way to calm your day, as the name implies.
Yeah, I mean, I really do find that I use the tools that I have learned on the Calm app in other places, like standing in line at the grocery store. For instance, I do a lot of deep breathing there, Liz. It's really improved my life in unexpected ways. when you go to a doctor's office and you have a lot of anxiety, at least I do, about your blood pressure or taking blood, that's something I have done regularly. I use the calm breathing techniques and the messages and the meditations to really get me through all those like anxiety producing times. I appreciate it. It's made a big difference.
Open the app instead of like opening, I don't know, a social media app. Forget it.
Right.
Just open Calm.
Yeah. And you know what? If you want to prioritize your mental health and your wellness, go to Calm. Go to calm.com/satellite, and you're going to get a special offer for 40% off a Calm premium subscription, and new content is added every week. That's right. For listeners of Satellite Sisters, Calm is offering an exclusive 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/satellite. That's calm.com/satellite. And Calm is CALM. Calm.com/satellite for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. So relax. Calm's got everything you need for a happier, healthier you. Support for today's episode comes from Jenny Kane. Yay, thank you, Jenny Kane. Perfect timing with Mother's Day around the corner. Jenny Kane makes the perfect Mother's Day gift. Think minimalist meets luxury. Julie, I feel like Jenny Kane is you with a twist of California. It's classic, it's comfortable, California inspired. You love the cotton, you love the cashmere. I mean, they have some great stuff over there at Jenny Kane, don't they?
Right. In fact, I have told my sons that whoever gets me the cotton cocoon cardigan for Mother's Day, they become my favorite son. That's what I'm telling them. Okay. I love Jenny Kane stuff. I mean, they are really statement pieces, but you just put on one of these and you feel like you're like, it's really happening. So, and they're so comfortable, beautiful materials. So that's it. Okay. Cotton cocoon cardigan. Go boys. You have a couple of days to make it happen.
It really, everything is such high quality and timeless design. And there you go, Julie. That's you. Quality and timeless. You don't have to set your sons up to compete against each other, but if you want to find your forever pieces, go to jennykane.com. Satellite Sisters listeners will get 15% off their first order when you use the code SISTERS at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jennykane.com. And Jenny Kane is spelled JENNIKAYNE. jennykane.com, promo code SISTERS. Mamas, this is your month. You deserve it.
We are back, and I would like to welcome Connie Wang to the special Best Beach Bag Books 2023 episode of Satellite Sisters. And congrats, Connie, because it's your actual pug date.
Yes, it is. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, very exciting. How are you celebrating publication date?
Oh, try not to barf. That's really how I'm doing it. But this afternoon, I think I'm going to go visit a local bookstore, see it on the shelves, and then go get dinner with my mother, Ching.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
All right. Well, the name of Connie's book, as I mentioned already, is Oh, My Mother, a Memoir in 9 Adventures. And I think one of the things I really loved about this, Connie, is that not only is your voice very strong, obviously you're the writer, but so is your mother's. And I feel like I got an understanding of who Ching Li was in the world, not just who she was to you. And sometimes in mother-daughter memoirs, that doesn't always come through. So what is it that you wanted us to know about your mother, Ching Li?
Yeah, no, Liz, thank you so much for noticing that, because I did work really, really hard on making sure that I captured her spirit. At this point, I've lived with Ching in my life for my entire life. So her nuances and quirks and her sensibilities are almost invisible to me. She just is who she is. But whenever I introduce her to someone new in my life, a coworker, whoever, they always leave with this impression of like, your mom is a strange person. And like a strange, a magical wow, like good way. But no one's ever like, oh, she's like, just another person. And she's always insisted that she is a special person, and not like, I don't want to say it in like a narcissistic or egocentric way or anything, but we've always, in my family, all the women in our family are very contrarian anyways, but Ching is sort of amplified, taking it up to all the way like to 11. like everything about her, her style, her diet, what she likes, how she likes to spend her time, her sleeping habits, everything is just like abnormal in a way that is a positive thing. So I'm always going to be like, oh, my mom is just like a weird person. Maybe it's like her self-professing that she's just a strange person. No, as I get older, I know that it's deep into her bones. Like she is a singular person. And her personality just pops off the page, even when I'm trying not to amplify her personality, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, for a book about her, like, why not but lean in? And so I'm really happy that the world gets to be charmed by her, and not just people in my immediate circle.
Hi, Connie. This is Julie. Can you explain the title, Oh My Mother, exclamation point, with an exclamation point at the end?
Yeah. So at the very, very beginning, the working title that I had in my head when I was even thinking about this book is what was the Chinese translation of "Oh My Mother," which is "Wo de Maya." And in Chinese, you say "Wo de Maya" when you mean like "Oh my God," or like it's almost like an expletive, but like it's a polite expletive that you use. And you say it when you want to say, "Oh my God." It's like, oh, like something happened. Like there's a mistake that happened, or you reached some sort of minor epiphany in your day. "Oh my God" is a phrase you say over and over and over again. But in Chinese, it's not God, you say mother, which I say this in the book, but I kind of like it more.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
I might start using it. Oh my mother.
Yeah. And it's the first person I think of when something happens, right? And I think that that's baked into, I remember getting my ears pierced when I was 9 years old, and just being so terrified in the chair, and the only thing I could say over and over and over again was, "Oh my mom, oh my mom, my mom, my mom." And she was just like, "This is so funny." But it's the instinctual subconscious person that you always reach out to when something wonderful or tragic happens in your life. And so that was the name that I had in my head. I got to write about my mom, and like, how else do I capture it? By not saying, "Well, the Maya, oh, my mother." That kind of sums up our relationship, and sort of our history together.
I love that. Okay, so it's a memoir written in 9 adventures, as you call it. So it's 9 separate essays.
Yes.
It's visiting Disney World. It's wearing flip-flops at Versailles. It's spending time in China with relatives. But there's one that I have to start with because you don't know this about us, Connie.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a very notable story about our mother and Magic Mike. And
You do? Yes.
Yes,
we do. And I would say that ours is pretty much the opposite of yours in a way, because by accident, we took our mother to see the movie. And yeah, I'll send you the episode where you can listen to the rest of the story. But your mother actually loved Magic Mike. Like Magic Mike XXL was one of her favorite movies, which she saw. I appreciated this detail at the Eden Prairie AMC in Minnesota.
A few times, not just
a few
times.
Yeah. Okay, I can tell you, Edna Dolan did not go back to Magic Mike. That did not happen. But then you decided to take your mom to the Magic Mike strip show in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all your idea. So why and how'd that go?
Oh gosh, if I could only answer why. I don't know why. It was me never thinking that she would say yes. It's like we like to sort of like egg each other on, and we know each other's boundaries, but we always end up surprising each other. So I had been hearing about how much she loved Magic Mike for weeks and weeks at that point. And I also knew that Channing Tatum was putting on a sort of like live production of Magic Mike XXL in Vegas. And so we at my job at Refinery 29, we were thinking of ways to cover that story. And I mean, in those pitch meetings, like you're just throwing around like any sort of relationship that you have with the sort of the subject matter. And I was like, the thing I can't stop thinking about is how much my mom likes this. It's like, you should just take your mom. Take your mom. Like,
oh, that's even funnier that it was a magazine pitch idea. Oh my gosh.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, and so I did not ever think she would say yes. And she said yes. So I was on the hook for that. But, the thing about writers and writing is that like we're emotional puppies, I would say. Like we're not so good at processing our own feelings and emotions and thoughts unless we write them down. And so I knew that this was this was a really, really awkward sort of thing that I had gotten myself into. And like, it was, I can't even, like, to this day, I have trouble like talking about it out loud, but yes,
Me too.
we
understand.
We really, really understand.
yeah. But I was like, if I put a deadline attached to this, if I get myself on the hook, and then if I force myself to write through it, maybe we can come to the other side and like something nice will happen. So we ended up going, and I mean, I think she had a great time. She talks about it with a lot of warmth, and I think that when we came home, she was really, really thrilled, just because like Vegas was really fun for her. Like the actual stage show was pretty incredible. If like going with your mom gives it a how do I
It feels so cringy. Yeah, it feels so awkward.
There's another layer of emotion that gets added to that experience because you're going with your mom. I kind of blacked out, not because I was drinking, but just because it was just too much pressure for me. I barely remember the whole situation and event. But my mom did take a very long video of me when I got pulled up on stage.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I know. That was my fault. I like to wear this. Here's a big tip. If you go to Magic Mike and you do not want to be pulled up on stage, do not wear pants. I mean, like, don't like obviously wear clothes. Like, if you wear a skirt, they generally won't pick you because you have to get twirled around and hung upside down and all these things. And so they usually target people wearing pants. And unfortunately, I was wearing pants because that's just what I like to wear. And so I was, yeah. So.
Well, that's a good tip for the Satellite Sisterhood. Wear pants. Wear pants to Magic Mike XXL.
No, do not wear pants.
Do not wear pants.
Oh, do not wear pants. I'm sorry. Do not wear pants.
Pants. Even if you're a pants person, do not wear pants if you don't want to get pulled up on stage. But I do have a video in case if I ever feel very masochistic, I can revisit and try to remember what happened to me that evening. But I will not be doing that.
Connie, is this your first book? This is your first book, correct?
It is my first book, yes.
And it's a memoir, and you use the 9 adventures as your structure, which is really interesting. Why did you decide to do it that way?
Yeah, good question, Lian. It's mostly because I'm used to writing in essay format. I've been writing for 15, 20 years now at this point. And I write mostly for a digital internet audience, which means that, the attention spans are a bit shorter, like the ability to hyperlink out and add more context and all of these like footnotes and things like that is part of like how internet writers write. And so the idea of writing a book was so daunting to me. The only way I could think of doing it was to cut it up into, internet length feature sections by the way of 9 discrete chapters that all had to do with one another. Obviously, it's chronological. It's the story of our lives. But each one of them is its own kind of separate essay. And honestly, like I am a newish mom now, but I am also like a very busy person. And one of the things that always brought me down about reading and books, and I love reading and I love books, is that it took me so long to finish a book because I would have to always go back half a chapter because I would fall asleep as I'm reading it. At night.
We're familiar with that
Oh my
situation.
gosh, I know. So for a long time, I was so guilty about the fact that it took me so long to read books, and I'm a fast reader. And I'm like, if I could only write something that people could get through in a quick clip, if they could read a chapter at a time, bounce around if they wanted to, it doesn't really even matter. And like, I wanted it to be digestible and accessible, but still feel meaningful. And I hope I did something like that. But that's why I structure the book the way it is. Each chapter, I hope, is a standalone of sorts. But it's also sort of a lazy thing.
Yeah, who needs to write that connective tissue? Yeah, whatever. Just blow through it. No one wants to read that.
Yeah, so the secret is it's basically 9 internet feature essays.
Connie, has your mother read the book?
Oh yes, Julie. She's not only read it, but she was the first one to see the proposal and the outline.
Oh,
After I finished each chapter, she was the first person to read it. She was the first person to give me notes and edits. She's read this book, I think, more than I have at this point. And so like I think that a lot of people write write about themselves and their families kind of in isolation. And I totally understand why. It is a really, really vulnerable act to write about yourself and to write about the really important things that happen in your life, because, you know, having gone through this process, I know how raw and exposing it can feel, and showing it to people who know you the best or profess to know you the best can be just a really, really, really big thing. But I couldn't imagine doing this without her input and without her collaboration, not only because she knows the process. Like back in China, she was an editor of nonfiction. So she knows publishing. Yeah, exactly. So she knows publishing way better than I do. Of course, in a different era and in a different country, but I really, really valued her advice and her guidance on how to structure a book, what to go after, like, and you know, just like the mechanics of and the functions of writing a book. But at the same time, like, it's her life. And the last thing I wanted to do was misrepresent her. And honestly, like, knowing what lay ahead of us and the process we would be going on together. And this was also in the middle of the pandemic when, you know, there's not much else to divert yourself besides conversations with people, you know. It really gave us a list of talking points for a long time.
Yeah, that's intense. That's an intense relationship.
It was a really intense process, really intense conversation. Sometimes, like, we veered wildly off the path and, like, we are never talking about this thing ever again. That was horrible. But sometimes, you know, it would crack something open, and those are the things that made it into the book. So yes, she's read it. She probably has memorized certain sections at this point. Wow. You know, but no, this is as much a book that she did, as it was a book that I did. Yeah.
So, Connie, I met you at a book reading at Book Soup, where you were interviewing the author Soon Wiley, whose book, When We Fall Apart, we actually recommended on Satellite Sisters. And in the chit chat before you and Soon started, you said to him, he was saying that it had taken him 7 years to write his book. And you said, oh my God, you could never do that. And that nonfiction was so much easier. And, you know, I get it didn't take you 7 years, but it does seem like you mined some really hard things here. So, and the process you just described with your mother and cracking a lot of other things open, that doesn't sound so easy.
Liz, that's right. I think it'd be a disservice to myself and my mother to call it easy. It would also be a disservice to my husband, who he is definitely not like a main character in this book. But the only reason I was able to actually put words down is because he took over the childcare on weekends. You know, if I didn't have time to write this, like, I couldn't have done it. And so it's really a shout out to Nathan Reese. He really saved my butt with this. But yeah, no, it one of the reasons why it didn't take me 7 years is because I didn't have 7 years. I think the process for publishing nonfiction is different from fiction. When you sell a book for nonfiction, you kind of sell an idea and then they give you a time limit and they're like, go, like, this is your deadline. You have to finish by the deadline. And when it comes to fiction, from what I understand, for the most part, you kind of have to finish it and then you sell it.
That's true. In some cases, yeah.
This is Lian's life now.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
So, like, that feels really daunting to kind of work in the dark, sort of work at your own pace and only with your own internals, sort of like benchmarks and things, and then ask people if they like it. So working in an opposite fashion is much more sort of a comfortable, that process is much more familiar to me, just in the terms of, like, internet publishing. I pitch first and then I complete an assignment once it's been assigned to me. And I work really well on a deadline. But 1 year is not a lot of time, especially when that year also has to involve a lot of, like, mother-daughter sort of, like, self-done therapy. And that it's like, you know, we scheduled conversations, but it made it also easier that she was living with me for big chunks of the year because of the pandemic, obviously. And I had a newborn at home. And so we were all sharing childcare duties.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask about that, because I'd say one of the most difficult essays was about you gave birth in sort of the peak pandemic times before vaccines were even available. You had an emergency C-section, and then you had a really hard postpartum experience, Connie, didn't you?
I did, Liz. I had my son Mark on September 11th, 2020, which I think is
That's my birthday too.
September 11th.
I'm also a September 11th baby, so
Oh my gosh.
good luck. It's
Yeah.
like, seems like a bad omen, but you know, okay.
I was like, I mean, it's my fault. I just kept putting it out in the universe. I'm like, it's as long as it's not September 11th, as long as it's not September 11th. And the universe was like, September 11th, I got it. Like, that will be the day. But yeah, no, it was a very isolating experience, which honestly is like kind of good for me. I like when I'm going through tough things, my tendency is to sort of like hide in my hidey hole. So I don't want to say thriving during the pandemic, but I was like, I feel like I am well equipped to do pandemic living. But you know, what I didn't realize about having a baby, and nothing can prepare you for this, was that my particular experience, it was so high stakes because you don't have any context and you don't know anything. You don't know what you can do to hurt or harm or sort of like mess things up, because it's like the first time anyone was doing this. But it's also incredibly boring, which is something.
Yeah, it is.
Something fascinating. There's like so much more interesting later on. But for those first few months, I was like, I'm doing the same order of things and actions every hour and a half for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm like, I am caught in this sort of like loop, this like psychotic loop that I couldn't break myself out of. And I mean, when I say crazy making, it was really, really crazy making. You know, I look back on that time and I'm like, people say it's such a blur. It's like you feel like you're in a dream, and it's like, yeah, that is the very generous way to describe it can be. But
especially during a pandemic with all the extra isolation involved
and concern and worry. Yes, that sounded super hard.
Yeah, there was a lot of concern. You're just like, well, we had a baby because we were so optimistic about the future. And then in my first trimester, I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
We're a little premature in our optimism. But, you know, I do think that having kids is probably one of the most optimistic actions you can take. And I really tried to focus on that. And now I can say, like 2.5 years after I gave birth, I can certainly say that like he is optimism personified, you know? And I'm so happy that I made it for those first few months. But Ching was there too. And it was interesting because she had quite a lot of help when she had me. In China, like raising kids and child rearing is really a family affair. And I think that is the case for many countries and many cultures outside of America. But here, I think it was a little novel to have my mom here really doing it with me. And I'm so grateful that she was, because during those stints that she left, I was like, I can't do this. This is too hard.
But having her there also, it provokes a major falling out. And, you know, I wonder how you make sense of that now. It's a very, like, I think one of the darkest and deepest fights you have with her is during that time.
Yeah, not to give anything away, but, you know, most of our fights between my mother and I are based off of miscommunication and misunderstanding. And that is in part because, you know, the language that we use to even speak with one another is not the same, you know. My dominant language is English and her dominant language is Chinese. And so there's a lot that gets misinterpreted when we speak to one another. And for the most part, and as we've gotten older, we have a lot of patience with one another to kind of try to approach all of those situations with trying to just assume the best intent, you know, from one another. But when we're in stressful situations, we assume the worst intent, and those miscommunications just get so amplified. So yeah, the big blow up that happened when she was over, that was really just like, it just went right into the heart of the exact things that make her sad and insecure, and the exact things that made me sad and insecure. And we just reverted back to the sort of like the worst of ourselves, you know? But But I think the difference between those moments when it happened when I was a kid and as I was growing up, and we didn't have the tools or even the sort of like hope that things might get better. The difference is like now we know that things don't have to be that way. And so this is the first time that we've ever had a fight that big. And we came out of it by talking with one another. Otherwise, like I think if it wasn't now, if we didn't have the tools and we weren't equipped, she would have left. You know, we would have not spoken to each other for months. But because we knew like that it doesn't have to be this way, it only took a couple hours for us to calm down and sort of then reconnect and retalk, and really get into the heart of like what our deal is. You know,
Wow.
you need to understand each other, and then you know what we kind of understood about each other, as not just a mom and daughter, but as you know, as parents trying to understand how to parent, and as like women too, who not to give us anything away again, but like as women who really, really deeply want to be our own person, and not belong to anything, in a way that feel like limits our freedom.
Sounds like there's a lot of lessons in that essay.
There are.
Yeah.
There's some full house moments in there.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that sounds like a very special episode. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Geez, good. I mean, really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's women, we have complicated relationships with our mothers. Even if they're great, they're complicated, always.
Absolutely.
Well, and when they're trying to tell you how to raise your children, Lian, maybe.
Yeah, and that's a situation that where everything is amplified and
Right.
it's very fraught, and everybody's sensitive, and the
Yes.
baby's crying, right?
Right. And you're exhausted and you're leaking,
Yes.
and it's just,
Yes.
those are,
Yes,
those
you're
are very
leaking.
There is some writing about the leaking, Lian.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned that.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's leaking, weeping. There's a lot going on. Yep.
There's too many fluids from too many places.
many fluids.
I'm
Well,
glad to be dry again. Let's put it that way.
well, Connie, congratulations. Thanks a lot for talking to us about
Yes, I love this discussion. Fascinating.
Yeah. Good luck with the book. And also, happy Mother's Day to Ching. Tell her we say hi.
I definitely will. It was such a pleasure to speak with you three. And can I just say, like, to be able to have a podcast with three sisters is just like, I mean, you guys have had, like, this is the best.
Oh,
So fun.
Connie,
thank you. Well, happy Mother's Day to you too, Connie. So we'll have you back on sometime. Thanks so much for joining us today for the big Best Beach Bag Books episode.
Julie, have you been keeping up with your Rothy's emails so you are on top of transitioning your look to summer? Okay.
Lian, I'm totally on it. I've got my eyes on the Rothy's slide. What a perfect shoe for the summer, because it's a slide sandal that you can put on, but it's Rothy's material, Lian, which is made from water bottles, recycled water bottles. So it's durable, it's washable. I mean, I think it's the perfect shoe for the summer.
Julie, it is. I mean, I'm all about the slide now. Almost every shoe I have. Yes, I have given myself over to the slide after years of resisting. And when I saw that Rothy slide, I could not believe it. I was like, ooh, it's dressy, it's pulled together, it's sophisticated looking, but it's
Very
a slide.
sophisticated.
Very
That's a good word
sophisticated.
for it, Lian.
Yes, it's very sophisticated. But we love everything over at Rothy's. We love the vibrant shades they have. We love the prints. They've got ginghams. The color possibilities are endless. We love that they have sustainably made flats and bags in every color. You'll be re-energizing your looks in no time. So you don't just take our word for it, but take our word for it, because that slide is great looking. They also have cute new shoes with rosettes on them, Julie. Very sweet. If you have a bride-to-be in the family, this is a very cute flat for all your bride-to-be action.
Oh, very cute idea, Lian. Yes.
Right. All right. So head on over to Rothy's. I mean, it's just a delightful way to spend an hour of your free time anyway.
Perfect for Mother's Day. Come on.
It is. Yeah. No, I know. We love the Rothy's stuff. For stylish and comfortable shoes, shop Rothy's. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/sisters. That's our URL.
rothys.com/sisters. That's $20 off. Rothys is rothys.com/sisters. Check out those slides. Thanks, Rothys. Liz, what a delight to talk to Connie. I'm so glad you were able to connect with her and have her come on the show. She was really interesting. Really, really sounds like a fascinating book.
Yeah, it is. And it was very fun to see her. As I said, when I met her at Book Soup, she was interviewing another author, and they were really having fun talking to each other about their work and their culture and, how they operate. And so I knew that she would be fun, good at talking about how she writes, but also that she had a juicy story at the heart of what she wrote about, which is her mother, Ching.
Yeah, I thought it was so fascinating that her mother was an editor in China. That they're in the same roles, but in different countries, in different languages. And I really look forward to reading the book and learning more about her Asian American immigrant experience.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. I mean, that's what she writes about as a journalist. She reports on race and culture. And so this is sort of a personal way at getting at a lot of the same issues that she likes to write about anyway.
I just always think like the mother-daughter relationship is so, it's complex and it changes over time. But the idea of sitting down and writing a book with your mother, I can't think of anything worse. I mean, we wrote a book about our childhood, our first book, Satellite Sisters, Uncommon Senses. But there was at no point did we ever fact check with our parents on almost anything. But we did let them read the book. Julie, that was your assignment.
Yes. Yes,
they did read the book before it was published, and they loved it, right?
Right. They felt like they both came out really well in the book, so they were pleased. Those were our mom's exact words. Yes,
but we did not ask for notes.
No.
So that, I mean, I just admire that.
Don't you think, Lian? Super brave.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Okay. Speaking of book events, I do have one coming up on Martha's Vineyard. I have mentioned it briefly because it was just sort of it was way off in the distance, it seemed, but it actually is closer than you think. It's on Thursday, June 15th at the West Tisbury Public Library. Here's the fun thing. I'm doing it with my lifelong friend, Elizabeth Green. She's a visual artist there on Martha's Vineyard. And so we're doing a talk together called Let the Sunshine In, Cultivating Creativity in Midlife. So it's going to be about... Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we cooked that up.
Like there's some learning involved.
Yeah. Cooking that up. So she's going to be talking about painting and the mixed media work that she does. She's also does really interesting work with fabric. And then I'm going to be talking about writing, and there will be book sales, and we'll have some refreshments, and just really looking forward to it. So I know that we have some Satellite Sisters on the Vineyard. It's Thursday, June 15th at the West Tisbury Public Library. It's at 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't think there's information up on the library website yet because the woman who runs the events department has been on maternity leave. So we're trying to get that up. But I just thought I'd start, save the dating this Thursday, June 15th at the West Tisbury Public Library. So that's, I'll be on the Vineyard, and then we're going to go to the Nantucket Book Festival after that. So I'm going to 2 hard-to-reach islands in a single trip.
Sounds fun. Pack the Dramamine.
Yes. Long way from Pasadena.
Yes, it is. But it's going to be great. No, Liz and I will have a lot of fun. Another Liz who rightly owns the word Liz. She's a good Liz. My friend Elizabeth Green. We're going to have some fun at our event, and then we're just going to go to the Vineyard or go to Nantucket as civilians. Just go to the book festival there for fun. Okay, so up next now we have our Satellite Sisters Beach Bag books. We wanted to get each of us are going to discuss a couple of the books that we picked for the list and why. But as we mentioned, the list is extensive. It's about 24 books. The complete list is over at bookshop.org. That's like where we like to put all of our books together. It's super easy to make lists. It's very visual. You can read descriptions of all the lists, and then you can buy books there if you'd like. That particular website supports indie bookstores all over the country. And so we like to support that website in particular, but it also is just a really easy place for us to
put all the books so you can see it. So there's a blog post at satellitesisters.com. There's links to our list at bookshop.org. And then we'll spread this information out as much as we can. And over the course of the summer, we're going to talk to a couple of other of the authors on the list. But for now, you get to hear our picks. So Julie, you're up first.
First of all, Lian, thank you for putting together the book list. It's so much fun to read all the books. And my first pick is Geraldine Brooks' new book called Horse. And this is a novel. It is based on a real horse, Lexington, who in the 1850s was the most famous horse, the most winning horse, thoroughbred racehorse in America, okay, for a short period of time. So that's sort of the historical fact. But this is a story that goes back and forth between 1850 Kentucky and present day Washington, D.C. And there's several important themes. So you learn about the horse and you learn about the groom, the slave groom that takes care of this horse and the unique relationship that the two of them have together. But you also learn about all sorts of other characters. So it's about love, it's about loss, it's about racism and race. And it's just fascinating how the Geraldine Brooks has woven together historical figures from the 1850s with current day. And I think this is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. So I highly recommend Geraldine Brooks' A Horse.
Okay. I love her writing.
It's a novel Horse. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Because
there's not a horse. It's Horse.
It's Horse is the name of it. So that's a serious book, but I think our listeners would really like it. On a much lighter note, my second pick is, we've talked on Satellite Sisters and we recommended, Liz and I watched Slow Horses, the Apple TV show, which we just loved, right, Liz?
Loved it.
Don't you? I mean, there are 2 seasons of it, and don't you kind of miss it a little?
I did.
I know. Okay, well, I have just the book for you, Liz. This is Mick Herron, who wrote the original book on which the TV show was based, Slow Horses. He has 8 books in a series, and this is his recent one called Bad Actors, Mick Herron. And so this is the same crew of sort of failed MI6 spies, and they have been sent to this detention center, sort of slow house, and this is one of their adventures. And so but it's laugh out loud funny. I chortled, I snorted, I did all these things when I was reading this book, and I highly recommend it. It's called Bad Actors by Mick Herron. I probably plan to read all the other books this summer too. It's out in paperback, so it's an easy book to take with you on any of your summer travels.
Okay.
Julie, I want to mention too that I have listened to this entire series on audiobook.
Oh, you have?
Yes. Fantastic audiobooks by one of the best audiobook narrators in the business. The humor really comes through. Yeah, I listened to the whole series during the pandemic. So yeah, fantastic audiobooks as well.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm up next. And mine is social commentary / book recommendations.
She's got a lot on her mind today, doesn't she, Jewel?
Well, she is the original Liz, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I just want to highlight an interesting, surprising phenomenon. There are 4 best-selling memoirs this spring by female runners. And I have the details on the list, but they are Good for a Girl, A Woman Running in a Man's World by Olympian Lauren Fleshman, Running While Black by activist and endurance runner Alison Desir, The Longest Race by NCAA champion and Olympian Kara Goucher, and Choosing to Run by Boston Marathon winner Des Linden. And here's the thing. I knew last fall that all 4 of these books were coming out, and I thought, oh, that's too bad. They're just going to all drown each other out. Why are they publishing all of these at the same time? And you know what? Exactly the opposite happened. They are all doing really well. They are all finding readers. And speaking of audiobooks, Lian, I listened to all of these. I'm not recommending that everyone listen to all four but there's one on this list that you will like. But I listened to the audiobooks because these are memoirs by women, and I love hearing women tell their own stories in their own voices. So, but here's the kind of social commentary question. Why do you think these are all out there and selling so well? I think it's maybe that we're finally ready to hear the actual lived experiences of female athletes instead of just the sanitized sort of TV up close and personal profile versions. I'd say these books they're highly readable, but they have triumphs and celebrations, but some pretty shocking, hard truths about sexism, racism, body image struggles, doping, exploitation, and abuse by coaches. So maybe we've been introduced to enough of these themes now that we can read them and look behind the curtain, and we want to know what their actual experiences are. I don't know. What do you guys think? Why would all four of these books be selling so well this spring? I'm very happy about it, but super surprised.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what happens just from a book business perspective is if one book is good, four books are better, that like they actually help each other out in a marketing way. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have books on a theme. They may be marketed together. They're on lists together. People get interested in the subject matter. And so run through them, boom, 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 boom. Like that happens in nonfiction a lot. So from a publishing standpoint, it's not that surprising. I do think culturally, we're at a place where female athletes they've taken a lead in so many social issues that I think they've reached a new status. People are really interested. They were interested in Simone Biles and what happened to her at the Tokyo Olympics and standing on the sideline. Like that was a breakthrough. Think about the U.S. women's soccer team and their grueling fight for equal pay. I think that really broke through and got a lot of news coverage and made people really look at that, the value of female athletes. I think there have been anniversaries of Title IX. Wasn't there just a 50th anniversary of Title IX? Yep. So that actually gets people thinking about the legacy of these things. And then sadly, we have seen a lot of female athletes really
abused by coaches,
coaches or abused by parents. And these are all cultural issues that these female athletes have really come to the forefront to speak about. So
we need positive role models, right? And we need people that inspire us with their own athletic feats. And I think that is that there's a real interest in that as well.
Yeah, it's surprising that it's track and field. I mean, let's face it, there are other sports more popular. But But as we know, Liz, as you've told us and schooled us, track and field is the most popular athletic sport in high school, right? Mm-hmm. There are more high school athletes that do that than any other sport. So, people have done it.
Yeah, and people know these Olympians, so even if they're not the most famous professional athletes in the world, they've seen them in the Olympics. They remember some of these moments. I mean, Des Linden, when she won the Boston Marathon on this incredibly stormy day, she was the first American woman to win that race in 30 years. So these are notable achievements by these four women. And I just think it's so great that they are out there documenting their experience, and we can all read about sort of the changing female experience in sports. So good for all four of them. I think you don't have to be a super hardcore runner to appreciate all of these books. I think if you know any teenage girl that's involved in sports.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, it'd be a good book. Okay, that's good.
I think several of these would be really good, especially Lauren Fleshman talks a lot about sort of puberty and what that means to girls and female athletes, but all of them touch on that and what it meant to them when because they were all runners in high school, except for Alison Desir. Anyway, I highly recommend these. Pick one or two. You will definitely learn something.
No, Liz. All right. That's when I saw your list come in, I'm like, this isn't a beach bag books list.
I know I did not follow the rules, but it's a phenomenon, Lian. It's all out there.
And our list has always been a little bit different. Our list has definitely been books you can listen to on a rainy vacation in the cabin in the mountains. You don't have to be sitting on a beach for it. Okay, I went with two books. Their theme a little bit lighter than Liz's, but still both of them have kind of interesting personal depth. That they're kind of the theme of you get to do it over. You get to redemption, trying something again and making a go of it. And the first one is actually called The Do-Over by Suzanne Park. She was one of the authors I interviewed on my rom-com panel. So on the surface, it's just a cozy rom-com with a great premise. And the premise is that the main character is a successful, marketing person in New York City. And she discovers that she never really graduated from college because she was a couple of credits short.
Oops.
They let her walk in graduation, but she can't really put that on her resume that she went to this fancy college because she didn't graduate. So she goes back to college to do those credits. So I just thought that was a super fun premise.
Yeah.
Think about what a different student you'd be at 32 than you were at 22. And then, of course,
So much better. So much better.
But also difficult, Liz. Things like, things may trip you up, like having to do the physical. She has to do like a PE requirement that she forgot about. So, but of course, she runs into her ex-boyfriend, who's now a teaching assistant there. So there's the romantic comedy part. But it's Suzanne. She is Korean American. The main character in the book is Korean American. So there's a lot in there about the expectations of college and education and that kind of family, and also how that impacted her mental health. So there is like some substantive writing in there, but at the premise, it's just super fun. And she's a very funny writer. There are a lot of funny situations. So that's called The Do-Over by Suzanne Park. And the other one, very similar, The Half of It. And this is by Juliette Fay. I did blurb this book. Juliette and I share a publisher, so I read it a while ago and blurbed it, and I really enjoyed it. I like her writing a lot. It's very accessible. In this book, the main character is a woman about my age. She's coming back to her hometown. She's been through it, divorce. She's reconnecting with family. And then, there's the boyfriend from high school. But they're in their late 50s. So what's going to happen there? And they have complicated lives with exes and kids and stepchildren and jobs and aging parents. And that is feels like a very real Satellite Sisters story. And I just love the warmth and the depth of that writing. Juliette Fay, The Half of It.
Oh, good recommendations, Lian.
Okay.
Those both sound great.
Yeah, we have lots of fun books on the list. As I mentioned, we'll have all of the links. Don't worry. We're going to put it out in Pep Talk, which is a good thing. If you haven't signed up for Pep Talk yet, it's a great thing to sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be featuring a book or two every week in Pep Talk all through the summer. But thanks to Connie Wang, who came on the show. It was great to talk to her. And it's just fun to support all these different kinds of authors. So fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. All right. We want to remind you that this is the last weekend. You can if you buy your tickets for Big Fun Weekend now, that's our October 13th, 14th, and 15th extravaganza in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I like how you said that, Lian.
Thank you.
It was really fun.
Your name will be entered into a drawing if you buy your ticket by Mother's Day. And one winner will win a special Best of Minnesota gift basket that you'll be given at the event. It'll be waiting for you at the hotel in Minneapolis. So that is this weekend if you want to buy yourself a Mother's Day gift or a friend a Mother's Day gift or just a gift. We don't care. Whatever you want to do, just if you buy the ticket by Mother's Day, you'll be entered into that drawing. Thanks to everybody who has already purchased tickets. We have a special Facebook group for ticket buyers. So all kinds of questions and discussions going on over there. It's a private Facebook group, so join that. But just a reminder, those tickets are still for sale October 13th, 14th, and 15th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. All right. Thanks to Connie Wang, who joined us today. A big thanks to Sergio Enriquez, our engineer. Sergio, we miss seeing you. It's been really 3 years now.
No, it's so sad.
I know. It is sad. But we're glad you're still here. Emily Loudermilk does our graphics. Thank you so much, Emily. It makes us laugh every week that the great graphics come into our inbox after you listen to the show. You can see Emily's work in Pep Talk or on our Instagram at Sat Sisters. That's our Instagram. Let's see what else. Anything else before we get to our to-do? Anything I'm forgetting?
I think you got it all.
Okay. Okay. A reminder, we do have a website, satellitesisters.com.
Yes.
The full book list will be there too, but all kinds of other things is over there at satellitesisters.com.
You can also email us. Hello at Satellite Sisters. That's our email address. We have one. Or if it's about the Big Fun Weekend, the email is bigfunweekend@satellitesisters.com.
It's a good reminder, Liz. You're the only one that reads emails, so that's why Julie and I never think of that.
Oh, we don't know that. But thank you for reading it, Liz.
All right. Our to-do today is to wish the moms in the audience a very happy Mother's Day. But we also want to acknowledge that this can be a really tough day for some. If you've just lost your mom, or you have a difficult relationship with your mom, or something else has gone awry, we know that Mother's Day can be tough. But we are very grateful for all the great women in our lives that have stood in for moms as mentors and teachers and aunts and nurses and coaches and great neighbors who have given us that caring and that, that motherly feeling. So we appreciate that. And we want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. But we also want to give you a to-do. Call your mom, your grandmom. Get on the phone, send a card, your mother-in-law, wish them a happy Mother's Day. And if you're out and about, please, to new mothers. How about mothers who had babies during the pandemic? Okay.
Yes.
If you see a 2-year-old, that baby was born during the pandemic, you tell that mother she is doing a fantastic job. Tell her that is the cutest baby you have ever seen. Okay. Because that's a special class of moms that we really want to celebrate and congratulate.
Oh, Julie, very nice. Good point. Good point. All right. That's it for us. Hey, sisters, have a great week.
You too, Lian.
Don't forget to call your satellite sister.